Welcome to the Bedroom to Boardroom podcast with me, Noel Reeves, where we provide a voice for SME businesses, where we can share real stories and help each other throughout the journey. Today I'm joined by Tony Ruby, who runs a very successful local property company. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Noel. Thanks for having me.
Tony, I've known you for a few years and I've been really impressed with what you've done over that time.
Thank you.
In terms of raising your profile and now running your own successful agency. So I just wanted to invite you to give a bit of a background to about what you're doing now and how you got there.
So it all started really, the love of property started probably, many, many years before I actually started in property. I was kind of in a position in my life where I was into my mid to late 20s and didn't really know what I was doing. I had no clear progression idea, no clear plan. So I took a punt on writing to all the agents that I sort of knew in the area at the time. I just asked them if they would consider sort of sitting down to have a chat about opportunities within their businesses, I suppose. It wasn't a very successful application process, to put it that way. So I wrote to 10 different companies. I heard from 2 eventually. One of them took me on. And I really enjoyed my time with that first company, very large regional agent in this area. Really enjoyed it. Great people to work with. Learned an awful lot, I think, because I think when you come into something fresh without any knowledge or background particularly, every day was a learning day. And eventually it sort of got to the point where I moved on from there. I went to another company. I was made redundant actually from there. Went to another company for a 2-year period, which was a corporate agency. And again, learned an awful lot there, but it wasn't really my fit. I felt I wanted to take on more of a challenge in my own life, I suppose. I could carry on doing what I was doing for the next 25 years until retirement, but it wouldn't have probably fulfilled me. I would have probably just been doing it for the paycheck at the end of the month, like most people in an employed role. So I'd sort of seen there was a bit of a shift within the estate agency businesses, the likes of Purple Bricks coming into the fore. There was a local franchise company called UMove. And whilst we were the leading agent at the time, agent 2 and agent 3 over the course of a 2-year period were actually 2 agents without high street premises. So I started exploring options that were there. There was a couple of options really. There's the EXP UK framework, which I work under. Or I'm part of, should I say. There's Keller Williams, there's Century 21, there's others constantly now developing as well. Avocado Property are doing great things in their area. And it gave agents who've probably got the drive and determination and opportunities to jump into a self-employed position and back themselves. And that's kind of where we found ourselves really 2.5 years ago.
Forgive me for asking, I'm assuming, did you have, a lot of people will do it and they get backing, financial backing and stuff like that. I'm assuming you had none of that? Or?
Well, not personal financial backing from somebody saying, here's the money to go out and make it work. It was all self-funded. So for probably the 18 months before I left my role and I knew what I was going to do, I knew that there was going to come a point where it was going to happen, but I had to get some personal ducks in a row beforehand. One of those personal ducks was buying the house we lived in. And I knew that I needed probably enough money for at least 6 months to pay the bills, feed the kids, fuel the car, the usual expenses of life. So we'd kind of worked hard on making our lives pretty frugal, so that the money would go as far as possible, and then made sure we put some money away. We actually put it into an investment type savings thing. My wife had her own little business, cleaning business, probably profiting £600 a month, something like that. So it wasn't going to be enough to get us through, just solely dependent on what she was doing.
So it had to work.
No. I mean, it either had to work or I had to go and get a job. And that was kind of, people often sort of sit in this situation, I think, and they'll go, well, what do I do? What happens if it doesn't work? Well, in my head, it was like, the worst case is I have to go back and get a job.
Yeah, you end up back at square one.
Which
was not a bad place to be.
Is that a bad thing? I could live with the regret of having a go and failing. I just couldn't live with the regret of not having a go.
100%.
So for me, it was, this is the time to do it, sort of into my mid-40s at the time. And it was a case of, if I don't do this sooner rather than later, the time is going to go. And this isn't a dress rehearsal, is it? We're here once, so we've got to try and do something here. And for me, this isn't about the here and today. This adventure is about the kids, my exit, retirement, those sorts of things. That's kind of what I've got my eye on first and foremost. You get to that mid-40s age, and I remember a conversation with my mate, and it must have been a little girl's first holiday abroad, so it would be probably about 10 years ago. I remember him telling me about this amazing pension he got at work. He was putting £1 in, they were putting £3 in for every. I was like, crikey, I haven't got a pension. That cost me sleepless nights. Time and time again, I'd wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night, worrying about this pension, this way out at the end, thinking, how am I going to ever stop working? So again, I had to take some sort of positive action to really make a difference.
Mm.
So yeah, looking back, if I was to rewind the clock to 18-year-old Tony, 20-year-old Tony, it would be make sure you start getting into a pension as soon as you damn well can.
Yeah.
Because it gave me a few headaches.
Yeah, and I like personally, I was really late to that
Yeah.
party too.
Yeah.
You know, not had a job that had a pension scheme, and just thought, well, why would I do that when I can spend that money on going on holiday or going out with my friends? And I was really late to that party too.
Yeah.
I was in my 30s when I started my pension. Yeah, so
Yeah.
trying to make up a lot of lost ground.
Yeah.
So fast forward from, so you started, you've taken that risk, you've gone out, you've managed to get your first listing. I imagine that was a pretty good feeling.
It's an amazing feeling. And I remember the first day. So I handed my notice in on 17th of March 2021. I had a 3-month notice period to serve. So I was technically finished work, I suppose out of contract, if you like, at 6 p.m. on the 17th of June 2021. But I had a 3-week period where I had some holiday to take over. So I sort of finished work, I suppose, at the end of sort of May 21. But it gave me a couple of weeks to sort of do some groundwork, get some stuff sorted, and that included my first 2 listings, getting them photographed, videoed and ready. So that once we got to 6:30 on the 17th of June, bang, that was it. We were going live with 2 properties. And I didn't make anything of a social media about leaving my job until the afternoon of the 17th. I purposely meant, respectful to my employer.
Yeah.
I worked 10 weeks of my 13 carrying on in the same role, which was going out and valuing a listing and putting houses on the market in the area I was going to be working in. So I think we'd got a good mutual relationship, and nothing I was ever going to jump back on, because they were good to me, really good to me.
That speaks volumes as well in both ways, that
I think so.
They're happy for you to carry on doing that, and you're prepared to do that for them. I think that says a lot.
And it was without the sort of oh, by the way, I'm doing this on my own from this date. So it was without all that. It was very much 17th was kind of like my day out, if you like, my day to launch and my day to take these properties to the market. I went out and did a social media Facebook live feed at both these new listings, which were one on Troon Close, which was my number 1 listing, and one on Christchurch Road. And I remember getting very emotional about it. I remember driving in the corner and seeing the board up outside the house the first time. And it was just really emotional. I can feel it now.
Yeah.
It's happening now.
Yeah.
And then did a Facebook Live just talking about these 2 new listings that had come to the market. And it was this new exciting adventure that me and the family were on and everything else. And just an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
Just the best feeling. I'd still get it today when I drive past a board. It's still like that. I can't believe that's us.
Your face.
Yeah, it's mad. It's better than Prime Watch. Just. But yeah, those first 2 listings were amazing. And of course, the market in 2021 was very different to what it has been last year. But 2021 was one of those markets where buyers were out there and there was plenty of them.
So from joining the EXP family, you've become probably one of the most, or if not the most successful agent in that organisation.
Yeah, it's bizarre, really. So EXP's just for clarity, is that essentially it's the toolkit provider. So they give me the tools to do the job.
Yeah.
And the tools to do the job that we do are, access to the likes of Rightmove and Zoopla, which are very expensive products usually. Access to a call answering service, a CRM system, anti-money laundering, compliance checks and all sorts. And in return, you pay them a monthly subscription, if you like, a monthly fee, if you like, whatever you want to call it. EXP UK has been operational in the UK since November 2019. That launch party, that's where I sort of first spotted them. Didn't go to the launch party, but that's kind of where my interest was piqued by it. It's 500 agents added to the roster, if you like, in that 4-year period. And that 4-year period has been all agents added to the roster without any marketing spend. It's been agents attracting agents. So they'll only take agents of certain quality. They'll only take agents, certain experience. Of course, there's an attrition rate. We have people who join the EXP thing thinking it's going to be an absolute candy ride and fall off. Often they'll hit the wall after 3, 4, 5 months. They can't secure any listings, or they can't get themselves into a front room on evaluation in the first instance, which is probably the industry's biggest challenge if you're ever starting out on an estate agency business. So we've had people who have come, people who have gone, but invariably every year they have quite a nice Christmas bash. Last year it was at the Renaissance St Pancras, which is a lovely hotel, and they do an awards deal where they sort of look at various different criteria over the year, and they'll give awards out for best newcomer, for example, or agent's agent, or whatever else it might be. And
so come on, Tony, tell us. Which of those awards have you got?
Well, in the first year, which was a half year, I got a newcomer of the year, which is in 2021.
Right.
And then last year I got Agent's Agent of the Year, which is
So that's what voted for by the other
by
agents.
the other agents.
Okay.
Yeah. That just staggers me.
Yeah.
That just staggers me. This year won the largest gross commission in the UK for this last year, which was basically, I think, from the end of November through, sorry, the end of October through to November the 1st. That was kind of their criteria, which was amazing. I think I came second or third in that last year, so there's been growth there. When I look at the other models about, it may well be that is the highest gross commission self-employed agent in the country.
Yeah.
But it depends how you define self-employed agent, because I could go back to some of my old employers and they would call themselves self-employed, of course, and they would have far greater turnovers than we have. But it is, it's a team of me and my wife and my wonderful assistant Nadine, and then we're ably supported by wonderful energy assessor. I've got a phenomenal professional photographer. I've got a lady called Dawn, who's my sales progression specialist, and she has a background of 28 years of experience of being a conveyancing solicitor herself. So when she's just working on my cases, to see them from that point of agreeing to completing, she's the perfect person to work with on that. I think it's just about surrounding myself with the right people.
Yeah.
And every year we have a get together in Grantham. They all come over and we sort of have not all of them are local, some of them are local, but some of them are not. And we have a sort of a night out and a little bit of a thank you and celebration, really, just for the year that we've had.
Yeah, good. And what does the future hold? What are your hopes and dreams?
That's a great question, and there's an opportunity within the EXP framework now to manage a team, run a team. I'm not sure if that's the right way to put it, but essentially have other self-employed agents working under my brand. So I suppose Tony Ruby then becomes more like the EXP, but becomes Tony Ruby EXP, and then somebody comes along and works with us. And there would be a certain responsibility, I think, on my shoulders, the way I look at it, where I'd need to really supply them with some leads and opportunities, which is something we're looking at very, very closely and very, very seriously. People often say to me, why stick with the EXP thing? Why would you do that? And why not come away from it altogether? And the brutal reality is it's probably the most cost-effective method of being a self-employed agent versus the alternative of coming away from EXP and having all the standalone costs that go with that. Whether you're successful or not, you're paying those fees. The great thing about the EXP thing, because you're only paying on successful fees, you're only paying when you're successful. If you have a month which is not a great turnover month, it's not like you're still being bled dry by other things you've got to pay for. I think the future will be interesting. I think I've got a mindset that's kind of, okay, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. But you also need to evolve with what the industry is doing as well. So I would like to see in the future licensing within the industry to make sure that agents are licensed for what they're doing, and therefore that it should enhance the quality of the journey for the clients who are using them in the end. And then I would also like to see, I think stupidly, my little girl's 11, so the first 5 years of her life until my little boy came along, I thought working till 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, a couple of 3 nights, 4 nights a week was the right thing to do. That's something I would change, and I probably should have been firmer with the people I was working for at the time, saying I just can't do this anymore. There's too much. You're putting too much on me, essentially. So I was doing, I think, beyond capacity a lot of the time. And when my little boy came along, it's like, okay, I need to make a change here. I need to do something that's going to make this different. I want to see more of him growing up. I want to see more of my little girl going through those sort of formative years of 5 onwards. And actually, I wanted to see more of my family full stop, so that includes the wife as well, of course. So, yeah, I think spending more time together. Do you know, the biggest challenge I've got right now is going on holiday, bizarrely.
Cool. Well, Tony, thank you very much for coming in. I really appreciate the time.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's been great.
Yeah,
Thank
lovely.
you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.